All right, finally today, we're highlighting a Detroit artist who uses her work to bring about social change. Our colleagues at Detroit Performs caught up with artist Sydney James for a closer look at her murals and the messages she hopes to convey. Take a look.
I think a good piece of art makes you feel some type of way, whether it's discomfort or it gives you a thought that you may not have had. It's like more of a discussion piece, or like you're supposed to be bothered by it. You're supposed to be moved by it, touched in some type of way. I knew it was a resurgence happening in Detroit, and I knew it was going to happen through art like it does many other cities that have gone through the revitalization process. I don't need to be at the forefront of said revitalization. I just want to be amongst the names that, hey, this artist was here. Coney Gardens is where I started doing public art in Detroit. I was doing little community projects where I was erecting art from the ground. I want my viewers to experience whatever I was feeling at the time of the painting. And if my viewers don't do that, then I don't think I did a good job at the painting. Now my intention is, I need you to know, not necessarily what I was thinking, but absolutely what I was feeling when I was painting this piece. I am using my art to create social change by making public art with specific messages. For instance, I'm working on a body of work and it's called Appropriated, Not Appreciated, speaking on Black women issues. And to introduce that work, I actually painted myself nude and I put myself on the floor as a literal doormat. Some people were like super bothered by like, oh my God, because they did have like an alternative way to get into the door. So they had an option. Like some people step on people because they don't care. I don't care that you're lying there. I don't care that this is a painting. It's on the floor, so I'm supposed to step on it. And other people really thought about it like, wait a minute, am I supposed to step on it? Can I step on it? What is this bigger message that this woman has? I think people got from that piece that a discussion definitely needs to happen, that I am a woman and I don't want to be treated like garbage. I think it's important to keep the message going so people understand that I mean it, that I'm passionate about this subject. Being an artist, you don't necessarily have to be an activist, but I think we fall into it because from the beginning of time, hieroglyphics or the writings on the wall, we always were the head of propaganda and the head of change. Murals in the Market is a collaboration between Interstate Gallery and Eastern Market Corporation, where it's 45 to 50 artists at one time in this condensed area, which is Eastern Market, and we paint murals all over the walls. What I did last year is I recreated the Death Row Vibe magazine cover with Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac, but I put myself as Suge Knight. I added Tylan Sawyer, Tiff Massey, and Rashawn Rucker. So I really just wanted to highlight Detroit artists. The second mural is actually in line with Appropriated, Not Appreciated, but it also is still paying homage to those three artists. So I'm painting a woman, a Black woman, she's holding up a protest sign. And actually it's paying homage to a writer friend too, Scheherazade Parrish, as well. So she's holding up a protest sign. And she has one of Tylan's cult masks in her pocket. And Rashawn Rucker is working on a series where he's morphing pigeons with Black men. So I have a pigeon tugging at her hair. And then she's wearing a Tiff Massey bracelet. And the protest sign will have a Scheherazade Parrish poem on it. I would like people to be super uncomfortable by looking at this piece. Like inspired from one standpoint, because it is massive and it's painted hopefully well, but I want people to be bothered enough to really talk about an uncomfortable conversation. Because I think really that's how social change happens. People have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that's where it starts. The uncomfortable conversation that needs to happen is people need to acknowledge that racism does exist, even in the smallest forms. It just does. I didn't make it so. You didn't make it so. It just does. But nothing is going to get better if we don't even talk about it. My process is definitely drawing it out first and like mapping it out. I use human figures because we're landscapes. My House of Mirrors series actually started because my younger cousin, he's a couple years younger than me, has a degenerative eye disease. So he'll be blind very soon. And I called him one day, well, I'm gonna paint a self-portrait of you. How do you see yourself? And then he described it to me, how he saw himself in a mirror. I was like, I'm gonna paint you on a mirror based on how I think you see yourself. But it got bigger, and we all have self-esteem issues, and so I just made the House of Mirrors about self-perception in general. Like, I painted another resident at the time, her name is Desi, and I don't care if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, we were out here working in the studio, she would have on rouge lipstick. So I was like, yeah, I gotta paint you. I painted a young man who I was working with at the time. His father had passed, like maybe a week or 2 after I met him, but he was still coming to work. So I was like, I'm gonna paint you brushing your teeth. And that one is called like keeping it together, because no matter what, like if we go through tragedies and stuff, it's the daily things that really keeps us together. I like to do exactly what I want to do at all times. If I feel like painting something about social injustice, then I'm gonna paint it.